I have always had a fascination with old houses. Anything old. A lot of people tell me I'm an old soul. A lot of people tell me I look double my age. I don't know if that's a compliment, but I like old stuff. Stuff that has a history, has a story, and that goes for houses. One of my favorite styles of house is Victorian houses. I love them. I love to look them up. I love to see them and drive around and take pictures of them. And these houses, they started around like the 1880s, 1890s. Were popular up until I would say 1910, 1920s. Today we are talking about the history of them. Victorian style refers to the architectural design and cultural characteristics prevalent during the reign of Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom, which lasted from 1837 to 1901. The Victorian era was a time of significant social, political, and technological changes, and these influences are reflected in the design aesthetics of the period. In terms of architecture, the Victorian style encompasses various sub-styles such as Gothic Revival, Italianate, Queen Anne, and the Second Empire. Buildings of this era are often characterized by elaborate ornament, intricate details, and sense of grandeur. Common architectural features include steep roofs, decorative gables, bay windows, stained glass, and ornate facades. In interior design, Victorian style is known for its loose and eclectic mix of influences from different historical periods. Rooms are often adorned with rich fabrics, intricate patterns, and decorative elements like moldings, trims, and wallpapers. Dark and heavy furniture pieces made of wood, such as walnut or mahogany, are typical of this style. Other prominent features include elaborate chandeliers, fireplace mantels, and decorative art pieces. The Victorian era was also marked by a fascination with nature. This is evident in the decorative motifs used during this period. Floral and botanical patterns, as well as motifs inspired by birds and animals, were popular in textiles, wallpapers, and ceramics. Overall, Victorian style is associated with a sense of elegance, formality, and the attention to detail. It is characterized by a combination of various design elements from different historical periods, resulting in visually rich and ornate aesthetic. So what is a Victorian house? Well, I'll tell you. Victorian house refers to a style of residential architecture that was popular during the reign of Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom. From the mid-19th century to the early 20th century, these houses are characterized by their ornate and elaborate designs, showcasing the architectural design and trends of the era. Some common features include steeply pitched roofs. These houses often have gable or hip roofs with intricate designs such as turrets or dormer windows, elaborate decorative trim such as intricate woodwork, scalloping, and gingerbread detailing also found on exterior facades, porches, and eaves. Varied and asymmetrical shapes, these homes are known for their complex and irregular floor plans, incorporating different shapes, angles, and projections during an visually interesting and unique appearance. Bay windows. Many Victorian homes have bay windows which project outward from the main walls, often in curved or political shape, providing additional interior space and architectural charm. Ornate porches. These houses frequently include large covered porches with decorative railings, columns, and intricate fretwork. Vibrant colors. During the Victorian era, it became fashionable to paint houses in multiple colors, and Victorian homes are often associated with vibrant, bold color schemes. Stained glass windows. These houses frequently feature stained or leaded glass windows, which can be found in various shapes and patterns, adding a touch of elegance to the overall design. High ceilings in large rooms. The houses typically have high ceilings, creating a sense of grandeur, and spacious rooms with detailed moldings and cornices. The Victorian style come in various sub-styles. These include Queen Anne style, Gothic Revival, Italianate, or separate empire, but they all share a common emphasis on intricate detailing, decorative elements. They show the architectural craftsmanship and individuality of the era. History and origin of the Victorian house. Victorian homes were originally a British architectural style. They originated during the reign of Queen Victoria in 1837 to 1901, which is where the name comes from. Style, although so now iconic in itself, actually borrows from many different architectural styles before it. Gothic and Romanesque architecture are heavy influences. At the time of the height of the style's popularity, the British Empire reached far and wide. This is why the style is so popular in places like the United States, Australia, and other countries that were colonized by Britain at the time. The Industrial Revolution also had heavy influence on the Victorian house style. At this time, there were huge advances in both transportation and manufacturing, making building high-quality homes quickly with creative liberty possible. This era allowed architects more freedom to create ornate, decorative homes rather than the simple utilitarian buildings that had been common previously. As such, these houses are lavishly decorated and often seen in colorful paint colors. The pink and purple ones are my favorite. The styles we have, the Victorian house architectural style is usually a major overarching category of more specific architectural styles. They all look similar but have varying elements depending on the subcategory. The more you study the different types of Victorian style homes and houses, the easier it becomes to recognize each one for what it is. So we have the Queen Anne. It's probably the most popular style, has the most associated with the Victorian architectural style, and like many other homes styles of the time, the floor plan and exterior are generally asymmetrical. These homes are incredibly elaborate and spare no decorative addition. You will see porches, bay windows, towers, turrets, and trimming. Usually the Queen Anne homes are painted in bright colors. Those are like my fave. Gothic Revival Victorian homes hold influence from Romantic Arts movement as well as medieval architecture. These homes are visually reminiscent of stunning castles and churches from the Middle Ages. They often include pointed arches and windows. I love arches and I love castles. Part of the reason why I love Victorian homes so much because they remind me of castles. Italianate is another subcategory of Victorian homes. These buildings are often generally lower and flatter. This modeled after Italian Renaissance villas. This style is the least ornamental and decorative of the group. However, being a true Victorian house, it still does include minimal amount of visual decoration. That's what I love about Victorian houses. They're so detailed and intricate and they're decorative on the outside. So each one holds its own. They're all so different. And now I feel like houses are just so cookie cutter. That's like my least favorite thing. I hate when you go into a neighborhood and all the houses are the same. When I watch like those house hunting shows, it's nice to have stuff new and working and you don't have to do a lot of work, but I just love a unique house. Of course, discussed before, different Victorian houses have different styles and different types of ornamentation. However, there are a few defining features that are very commonly seen in Victorian homes that are definitive of the style. First, Victorian homes are usually colorful. This is one of the easiest ways to define the style of the house. They would generally be 2 or 3 stories. A single story building is not usually classified as a Victorian architecture. The roofs of the homes are typically steeply pitched and triangular, less universal but still common. They are bay windows, turrets, dormers, and porches. I love a porch too, so that's why I love a Queen Anne. Then we have some notable architects and decorators of the time. Spanning from 1837 to 1901 was a period of electric and ornate architecture and interior design. The era saw a mix of styles, influenced by periods of exotic cultures, often emphasizing elaborate detail and decoration. So we have Charles Barry, we have the rebuilding of the House of Parliament, Trafalgar Square's Nelson's Column. This style is classical and Gothic revival. Barry was instrumental in the revival of Gothic architecture, which became synonymous with the Victorian era. Augustus Pugin, he did the interior of the Palace of Westminster, Alton Towers, Gothic style, in the Gothic movement, intricate and authentic medieval designs. Again, I love castles, so Gothic I also do really like. George Edmund Street, he did the Royal Courts of Justice, All Saints, and Margaret Street in London. He did Victorian Gothic. His architecture is often featured polychromy, a rich decoration, characteristics of the high Victorian Gothic style. There's a lot on this article. I don't think we have time for all these people. Let's skip to some notable Victorian homes. So we have the Osborne House, we have Highclere Castle, Wickmick, I don't know how to pronounce this, Manor, Tidestill Field. All these are in like England or Europe. Oh, because that category was for UK. See, I didn't read that. Okay, here we have US. The Carson Mansion. This is a favorite, the Winchester Mystery House. So this house definitely sparked my love for Victorian houses. So if you don't know, it was built by Sarah Winchester. Yes, the Winchester rifle family. She had conversations with the dead, she says. She used a spirit board and the Winchester Mystery House is extremely haunted. I know people that have been there and done tours there. San Jose, California. He built on and built on and built on and built on to this house for years, like decades and decades decades and decades because whoever she was speaking with told her to keep doing that with the house. Basically, it just became like a maze and she never stopped, and it's literally insane. So like the whole time she lived there, she did construction on the house, and it's the most crazy house you've ever seen in your life. Highly recommend. Mark Twain House, The Breakers, and then some in Australia we have Ripon Lee Estate, Como House, Canada, Craig Darcius Castle, Casa Lima. Outside of UK, Palace of Penna. Here is some interior decor in Victorian houses. Interiors are just as ornately decorated as the exteriors. The interior architecture is lavish and more asymmetrical than other home styles. Lots of stairways and hallways are typical. There's less of an open floor plan. So yeah, now with these houses that they're building, everything's in one room. And that's nice. And like all the apartments that I've lived in, they are like open floor plan. But when I lived in my house that was built in the 60s, a ranch, it was separate rooms. And I realized that's what I'm used to. There's a way to have a house like that. It doesn't feel boxy, but has separate spaces. That's what I grew up as, and that's kind of what I prefer. That's me, but also the open concept, I get it, but that's not what they did back then. Lots of crown and base molding and ornamental trim throughout the home. These homes also have lots of space for entertaining, socialization. Hosting friends was very popular during the time the homes were built. The decoration in Victorian style homes is usually just as opulent as the exteriors. Historically, the homes included ornate furniture with carved woodwork and upholstery, as well as heavy textile. The furniture in these homes, not comfortable. Not comfortable, I will admit that, but they look pretty, but not comfortable. You don't want to sit down in these for a long period of time. Floors would be covered with large rugs, tapestries draped from the walls. I like a good tapestry. I had one in my bedroom for a long time. It is so hard to put up and take down, and it gets dusty and disgusting after a while. You can imagine how dirty the stuff would have been in these homes. That's not a great sight. Currently, interior designs of these homes are usually more modern leaning. You will see them decorated in anything from farmhouse style to coastal style. Okay, I'm not crazy about either. There's some elements in farmhouse that I like. Coastal is not really my vibe. They are renovating these Victorians. They're making them livable, so they're definitely changing some stuff, not only on the outside but the inside as well. The great thing about these homes is that they're so iconic on the exterior, yet can be decorated any way the resident wants inside. That's what I love about them as well. They're so pretty, but if you want more of a this century living, you can still have that in a Victorian. You can knock down some walls, make it more open in there, put in modern furniture, but you're still in an old house that has a soul, you know? And then we have some rugs here. I'll put up some pictures here, but a lot of colorful floral rugs. There's this one here, Persian. This stuff reminds me of my grandma. She had this rug. This rug went in every single house. We couldn't escape this rug, and it looks like this Persian rug a little bit. I'll try to find like the one that she had in her house or one that looks like it. I feel like people that are older, my grandma was born in 1940, they're like a rug man. And I feel like it stems from the Victorian era. Victorian houses, they were covered in wood floor. Personally, I'm not a wood floor person. I like a nice neutral plank or whatever we're doing now, like a gray kind of color. But I think living room, bedrooms need to be carpet. I'm just a carpet person. That's the way I grew up. I think we're all products of where we grew up and what kind of house we grew up in. Growing up in an older house makes you appreciate old things, I think, a bit more than the average person. When I was back in New York for Christmas, saw a beautiful Victorian. Somebody had painted it gray and white, and I was like just crying inside because I looked across the street and there was like a purple and green one, and this one, somebody just made this one completely modern, and like I get it, but like also I don't get it. You know what I mean? Put your grays inside, leave the beautiful colors on the outside unless you absolutely hate the color. It's like paint a Victorian like one solid, like that literally made my heart break. I was like, no, why would you do that? I just wanted to start scraping the paint off. Granted, there's some colors that I just can't stand on houses, but a Victorian I feel like is the exception. Make the foundation good, make the house livable, of course. I posted a video on TikTok that literally went viral, hundreds of thousands of views, and I was like, why would you get married when you can just buy a Victorian like in the woods, privately haunted, and buy it with a friend and live out there and live with a bunch of dogs? Like, why wouldn't you just do that? Forget marriage. Go do that. Thousands and thousands of women saw it and related to it and loved it and wanted to do that as well. That's why it inspired me to make this video. That's the dream one day. I would love to do that. I also love mid-century modern. Product of growing up in a 60s house where you had my bathroom, literally what it used to be. I'll put up a picture. Pink tile, like everything in the bathroom was pink. My parents swapped out like the pink toilet, the pink sink, but it kept like the floor was the same. The floor was yellow and pink. The wall, like pink tile. Soap holder, the towel hold, like everything was pink. Like the whole bathroom was pink. I just wanted to scream. I was like, why did you guys touch this? It's just nostalgic for me. And it had the 60s freaking, I'll put up the vanity, like 60s, 70s, 80s, and then like the 1890s. I'm so random. I would love to have like one of each. Follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, subscribe to this channel, like the video please, leave a comment, turn on post notifications so you never miss when I post a new video. If you want just the uncut audio version of this podcast, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, just search Live Combos. If anybody here watching this owns a Victorian, just know I am super, super jealous of you. I don't make them anymore. It's just like when I walk into my 60s bathroom in my house. This is a time capsule. I hope people preserve old houses. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you need me, I will be on Zillow stalking for a Victorian house. Love you guys.